Thought Reflection 0427-26, The Journey to Remembering. This perspective explores the idea that humanity is not evolving into something new, but gradually remembering what it has always been. The central concept is that reality is already complete and fully present, with all levels of awareness existing now, but human perception only accesses a limited portion of that totality. This limitation creates a sense of separation, distortion, and partial understanding, not because anything is missing, but because awareness is filtered and capacity is constrained. Moments of overwhelming, non-directed love, clarity, and sudden insight are interpreted as brief contact points with a less filtered state of being, instances where internal division softens and recognition occurs. These moments are not seen as emotional anomalies, but as glimpses of a deeper truth, that consciousness may be recognizing itself through us, becoming aware of its own nature through human experience. In this light, that overwhelming feeling of love can be understood as a form of recognition, an encounter with a deeper or more complete aspect of ourselves, where what we are becomes aware of itself, even if only for a moment. Distortion in this model is not framed as something imposed externally, nor purely self-created, but as a natural byproduct of limited perception, arising wherever understanding is incomplete. It shows up in how we relate to ourselves, to others, and to the environment, creating misalignment, friction, and partial seeing. Expectation and attempts to control outcomes amplify this distortion, layering interpretation over direct experience and pulling attention away from the present moment. The act of being uninformed or not yet fully seeing naturally contributes to this distortion, not as a flaw, but as part of the process of incomplete understanding. In contrast, living in the now is described not as something to learn from scratch, but as something to remember, a natural capacity that is repeatedly forgotten and rediscovered. This process unfolds cyclically, forming a feedback loop where remembering increases clarity, clarity reduces distortion, and reduced distortion allows for further remembering. As distortion lessens, what remains is not something new, but a clearer signal of what has always been present, and where attention is placed, determines how much of that signal can be perceived. In this sense, the idea of intentional living becomes important, as it is through consciously bringing attention back to the present moment, the distortion is reduced and access to that underlying clarity is strengthened. This loop reflects a larger universal structure identified as the spiral, a pattern of expansion and return that appears across all levels of reality, from personal awareness to the cosmos itself. Each cycle does not return to the same point but reveals more with each turn, suggesting that the process is both repetitive and progressive. Within this framework, human life is described as a limited bandwidth expression of a much larger field of awareness, where only a fraction of what exists can be held at any given time. As awareness expands, so does the capacity to hold more of that underlying reality, though this expansion occurs gradually through repeated contact and integration, rather than sudden transformation. The present moment is seen as a point of access to all that exists, and as individuals become more present, more of what is already there becomes visible, creating the impression of a collective shift or awakening. Reports of increased sensitivity, insight, and shared experiences across individuals are interpreted as signs of more frequent contact with these deeper layers, suggesting that this is not only a theoretical possibility, but something actively unfolding in the current moment. Ultimately, this perspective suggests that humanity may be entering a phase long described in different ways across traditions, whether called a shift, an awakening, ascension, the second coming, or even symbolic interpretations of events like Armageddon, not as external events, but as an internal, collective turning toward recognition. In this sense, what was once spoken of in prophetic language may be understood as a gradual unveiling happening in real time, where individuals begin to perceive, remember, and embody a more complete version of what they already are.